Hey, Dr. Robertson, how are you?
Mosley, how are you?
Doing good. What are
Yeah,
we talking about today?
we're going to be talking about menus some more.
Ooh,
And today, we're going to be talking about the styles and headings. So kind of like how the menu is laid out, what it looks
what the font?
like. That
Uh,
is pretty close to getting us in trouble.
you know, you got to skirt that line sometimes when you're dealing with menus.
Okay. So here we go. Here are our options for how we price a menu. Some of them are relevant and some of them not so much. But a la carte, everything on the menu is priced separately. So you go to a restaurant, the place I always think of with this is Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. If you
Mm,
go there and order a steak, you know what you get?
a steak.
A steak. You do not get a salad. You do not get a potato. You do not get a drink. You get a steak. It is a la carte.
Yeah, and this, I mean, is a way that you can make your prices seem lower at first and, increase the bill when people want sides. But,
Then we go to semi a la carte, which is exactly what it says. So you order a steak and potato. They come together, or steak and a side.
yeah.
So that's how it comes. This overlaps a lot with table d'hote, which literally translates as the host's table, which means that imagine you go into a restaurant and you order an entree and it comes with a salad and a side. That is what's available at the host table. So all these things kind of go together for a price. And then your last option on how you can price your menu is what's called a pre-fee menu, which means that here's the menu and this is what you're going to pay for it. So you come in to eat, here's what you're going to get. You have this course, this course, this course, and it costs $17. And there's no option. There's one menu item, and there's a single menu and a single price. These are your options on how you can choose to price your menu. And in restaurants, it's very common that we use combinations of these things. So you can get an a la carte item, like our desserts usually come a la carte. Whereas if you order a special, you go in on a Valentine's Day evening, they may have a pre-fee special where you go in and, it comes with a set salad for two, appetizer for two, entree for two, dessert for two, and a bottle of wine at a set price. And you don't have any options. But the rest of the regular menu is available. So we use these in combination. You don't have to choose one, and that's just how it's going to be. So, designing a menu. The headings. So you go to a restaurant. You can have lots of choices on how the headings are. So things that are very common will be something like drinks, sides, entrees, and desserts. Okay? Or it could say drinks, sides, sandwiches, entrees, desserts. Or you could have a salad breakout. Or you could have seafood. Or there are all these different types of headings to put on your menu depending on what you want the experience to be. And the names you choose kind of reflect who you are. So if you have a menu and it says entrees and under there you have fish, that's different than if you have a menu and it says, catch of the day. Because if you have a menu that says catch of the day, you're really kind of indicating you have some experience in that you're going to have fresh seafood every day that's going to be available. And that's a different menu design. That's a different concept.
Yeah, and you really kind of set the tone for what you're offering. So you could put down amuse-bouche, or you can just say what?
Appetizer.
Yeah, right? But one is going to sound a little bit more hoity-toity and set the tone for those who are looking for that type of experience.
Right.
Anybody can have an appetizer, but not everybody's going to have hors d'oeuvres.
And the way you word your headings can influence the way your guests order. So if I can actually increase my check averages if I do something like, say, have a heading on a menu that says taste for two, because that, it's indicating appetizer is big enough for 2 people, and they're more likely to order that item. So just the wording or the description will have an effect. And when we have these a la carte or semi a la carte items, the entree items on your menu, if we're going to have a separate heading, we should probably have about 5 items under that heading, just to kind of create the look that we're going for.
Yeah.
So one of the problems that a lot of restaurateurs get into is they don't know when to say no. There is this phrase in writing that is very relevant when it comes to menus, which is you have to kill your children. And what that means is that when we write something, when we create something, we have something we really love, we love it and we nurture it. Well, that may not be the thing that is going to sell, or it may be, we love it, but it's not going to appeal to the market. And so we want to pare the menu down to the things that we're good at and the things that are going to appeal to the market and make money for us. When we have longer menus, we run into problems like if you're trying to turn your tables a lot, if you have a 10-page menu, like you go in the Cheesecake Factory, I'm always kind of astounded by the Cheesecake Factory and how gigantic their menu is. Going through the menu takes a while. It slows down service. So if you have a longer dining experience and you're not wanting to turn the tables, maybe that's acceptable. But if you're fast food or you're doing a lunch service where you want to turn those tables 2 or 3 times, that's going to be a problem. You need a short, that's why lunch menus are shorter.
Well, exactly. And also, the longer the menu, the more items that your staff is going to have to be trained and competent in.
Absolutely.
So, and the more ingredients that you may have to have. One example, if you ever go to Lansing, Michigan, there's a place called the International Tuba Museum. It has a restaurant, and the menu's 30 pages long. It has Asian, it has American, it has African foods, it has all these different weird combinations on a menu, and they were surprised that it didn't really sit well with everybody.
Yep. So. Now, on the other side, the other end of that spectrum, so like you said, one of the problems is we have all these menu items, we have these extensive menus. Our inventory cost is higher because I have to have all these different types of food that I'm paying to store.
Yeah.
One restaurant that I admire their ability in menu rationalization, like getting the most menu choices out of the minimum number of ingredients, is Taco Bell. Because if you think about it, they only have about 7 ingredients. You've got a tortilla, you've got a taco shell, you got cheese, you got meat, you got some top, and they've got 400 different, or they probably have 40 different menu items using those 7 menu ingredients. So they work really hard to minimize that inventory cost by keeping their menu reasonable, a reasonable size. And there's printing cost. A good menu is responsive, and as prices change, your menu, your prices you're paying for food, your menu prices need to change. And
that's one of those things where you don't want to be doing whiteout and then writing on your menu a new price, because it doesn't just look bad, but it also draws attention to the fact that the prices have changed,
right?
Which can be jarring for some of your long-term.
Yeah, and it's never that those prices are going down.
No. So it'll draw attention. That's why you'll reprint new menus every now and then. It's expensive to do, but when you do it, you're going to want to make sure that you have adjusted all the prices then instead of mid usage.
Right. So when we figure out what to put on a menu, one, stay true to your business concept. You want to do the thing that you're good at. If, I can guarantee you're never going to go into Five Guys and they're going to have a pizza on the menu. It's just, they're not going to, and as popular as pizza is, and, knowing Five Guys, they'd probably do it pretty well, but it's not part of their concept.
Interestingly, McDonald's tried to do pizza at one point. And
it's still available in the Cincinnati market.
It is.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. McPizza.
Yeah. Just doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah. Um, so other things with the menu, you want to have balance and variety. So one, within a given dish, you want to have balance. So think about a plate. I could have a dish that is nutritionally balanced that would have a chicken breast, steamed broccoli, steamed cauliflower, and mashed potatoes. What's that plate going to look like?
Man, that's the whitest plate I've ever seen.
Yeah. No, and so there, just the color balance and variety is inadequate. So we want to think about the flavors, the ingredients, the colors, all these, and have balance and variety in the dishes. So in a single dish and across dishes. So like you have a number of, like maybe somebody wants something crunchy, maybe somebody wants something that's smooth and creamy, and you need a balance. You
Yeah,
want to have product utilization. So this is going back to the Taco Bell thing where I have ingredients. It's best if you don't have ingredients that are only necessary for a single dish. If you can have something that serves many purposes on a menu, that's great. That's your
and that's
best.
why when you're doing your testing of new recipes, you're going to be looking at mainly what you already have,
Yeah.
what you can do to expand that with as little equipment, investment, and the training for your employees that you need, as well as additional space. Kitchens are small typically because you're maximizing your seating space. So everything needs to be considerate of that.
So, if I have a menu item and it calls for a hard boiled egg on that item, well, that's not a big deal. Hard boiled eggs are not hard to do. But if it's only necessary for one item and that item doesn't sell very well, what's going to happen is I'm going to get an order for that item. I'm not going to have an egg. I'm going to have to cook one. Or I'm going to cook a bunch of them and some of them are going to go bad. So you want to look at product utilization when you're designing a menu.
Yeah.
And again, as I mentioned in an earlier lecture, you want to balance your flow across stations so that the grill cook doesn't get slammed while the saute cook is unoccupied. You want to balance out demand on your menu items. So maybe you have certain number of items that come off of each station. So when we're talking about flavor or we're talking about balance and variety, we want to balance ingredients. So certain things just kind of naturally go together and play off of each other. Think about sweet and sour, that interplay between acidity and sweet, that those almost always go together to create good balances. So, we have vinegar, we have sugar, and they work against each other. Or sweet and salty, those two
Yeah.
balance off of each other. We're going to have balance of cooking techniques. So we're going to have some things that are fried, some that are roasted, some that are grilled, so that again we have utilization of all the equipment, and we have variety for the people who are eating in there.
Well, yeah, and each cooking technique has unique flavor profiles that it's going to give your menu items as well,
Right.
which is fantastic.
So we want to balance temperature. Like not every, you have some hot items, you have some cold items on the menu. Nothing better, than after you go out to eat somewhere and you have a nice, have some ribs, or you have something, some barbecue. Maybe get some ice cream. Something that's hot, something that's cold, to balance it out. Texture also. You have crispy things, you have creamy things, and they go great together.
Yeah, mashed potatoes that are not crunchy is key, right?
Yeah. And so, I already mentioned about having the plate that has all the colors the same, the white plate. That it's not attractive. You need a balance of colors. So you have some brown, some red, a lot of things in there to create visual interest. Same
Yeah.
with the shape. Go ahead.
The plate that's the cauliflower and potatoes and chicken, it may taste amazing, but it's just not going to be visually stimulating to almost anybody. So if you do have a guest that orders something like that, how are some ways that you can give a little pop of color that don't really change the flavor profiles on that?
Oh, well, you can garnish. You can add sauces. There are lots of things like that you can do to, if you have that item, you can add some things to it, flavored oils, things to bring color in. And you also want to provide variety in both the shape and the size. Not everything's the same size on a plate. Not everything's the same shape. Think about a Big Mac. If for those of you who've eaten a Big Mac, if you
Which apparently most of them have not.
yeah, you put it on a plate. What you have is you have the stacked sandwich that is round that has texture because you've got the sesame seeds and you've got the lettuce on it, and then you've got the long, skinny French fries next to it. It's visual interest, and there, you could cut your potatoes so that they're all around. It would be less interesting.
I agree.
Yeah. So different types of menus. Breakfast menus. Breakfast menus tend to be fairly a la carte. You can, if you think about going to eat at Cracker Barrel, you can order bacon and eggs and all that separately, or they will have semi a la carte items where you go in there and you order an item. It's like bacon and 3 eggs and toast, and they kind of come together.
Yeah.
Breakfast is the meal in America that is most often eaten on the go. So that's why we have things like bagels are wildly popular because you can eat it as you travel. If you're in a situation where you provide breakfast all day, have a separate breakfast menu.
Well, and this is something that the current generation is so lucky with. I remember at 10:02 in
Cut
the
off.
morning, oh yeah, there was no Egg McMuffin for you. And
what do you mean I can't have a hash brown?
yeah, and part of that was because of the complexity for them to be able to do that all day.
Yeah.
Usually a dine-in type restaurant situation, they would have maybe a limited breakfast menu available all day regardless, with some items being kept off just due to the space that they have available.
Yeah. Okay. So things that the headings you'll commonly see on a breakfast menu. Beverages, juice, milk, especially popular. You'll have entrees. So you go pancakes. That's an blueberry pancakes. There's a entree that's common for a breakfast heading. What is toad in a hole, where you have the sandwich with the egg cooked in the middle? That's an entree.
Yeah. And things like that. You got your eggs and your omelets.
Yeah.
Now, eggs can obviously be done in a multitude of ways. So in omelets, you can have just the regular whole egg omelet, egg substitute,
Or, and there are lots of standard omelets, like Western omelets or egg white omelets. And
Denver and, whatever you got out there.
yeah.
Items. That's
What's that?
pancakes, the griddle items.
Yeah.
You can have breakfast sandwiches,
Cereal is a common choice for then special, other items are house specialties. And I'll use Cracker Barrel as an example. You go in there and you can get like Uncle Herschel's breakfast, which is, hash browns, bacon, eggs, ham, pancakes, and a biscuit or something like, it's like this huge combination of items, but it's got a name. It's what they specialize
in. Yeah.
And then all of these things are available separately. You can order, hey, I just want 2 eggs, or I just want to order a bacon, or I want a side of toast. And
well,
so
the reason why you want to do that is it will help with people who want to come in. If you have that flexibility for them to just order a couple eggs, but the other person's really hungry, if you didn't have that, they might just go, well, I'll just eat a little bit off of their plate instead. You're going to make more money if you offer a la carte.
Yeah. So lunch and dinner are similar with some small differences. The lunch menu tends to be a little more restricted. It tends to have lower prices and smaller portions. People tend to eat less in the middle of the day. Lunches tend to be quicker. So we design our lunch menus. So again, things like sandwiches, because they're easy to make and they're portable. So they're going to tend to be more popular at lunch. Again, so things are quick and light, sandwiches, soup, salads. Going to be popular at lunch more so than at dinner, where people tend to eat larger meals. Now, the headings on a lunch or dinner menu could be appetizers. So again, small bites to kind of entice them into ordering something. When you put an appetizer on your menu, these should be, you look at this as a way to make money. So you want to design things. Typically, our appetizers are going to be low cost for us to make, usually.
Well, and you want them to be super quick because you don't want to extend out, especially for lunch, the time that somebody's sitting there eating.
Yeah.
So you're going to want like your cheese sticks where you can just drop them in a fryer real quick and they're out well ahead of the other items that they're ordering.
But, and the profitability here for an appetizer, cheese sticks or breadsticks, these are really cheap items to make. We charge $6, $7 for them. We just pushed our check average up $7. That's great. Soups are another heading common on lunch and dinner menu, lunch and dinner menus. Salads, and salads can be both entree salads or side salads. Sandwiches, entrees, what we think of as full meals. If we have side dishes that can be ordered separately, and desserts. These are all common headings on menus. Now, in the next chapter, we'll get into some kind of unusual menus where you have different headings, but this is our very basic understanding of a menu. Other things you could have on there, if you're in a fine dining, maybe you have a cheese or a charcuterie board. There's nothing I love better than house charcuterie, having a pate or having sausages that are made there. In a lot of restaurants, that's very common. It's not as common here in the South, but in the Midwest, where you have a lot of German culture and European culture, or like Eastern European immigrants that have influenced the dining culture, this is really common.
Well, yeah, and that's common in, nicer dining as well as in the upscale, like pubs or brew houses that you'll find around there, because it really enhances the experience.
Yeah, that's one thing I miss from living in the Midwest is the beer and sausage culture.
Yeah.
And then a beverage menu is separate. And mostly when I'm talking about beverages in restaurant settings, usually I talk about alcohol. Things like coffee, tea, soft drinks, those are also beverage. I think chapter 5 has to deal with beverage menus. We'll talk about that when we get there. So back to the appetizers, small and flavorful. So we want things that are acidic and spicy. Want to guess why, Matt?
Why is that?
Well, because it makes your mouth water. It prepares you to eat. You're going to order more. So acidic things and spicy things make your mouth water. They're also going to make you order more drinks.
Exactly. You want beverages that are going to push that ticket up.
Yeah. So we want things that are going to encourage people to eat. So acidic and spicy things whet the appetite. They make the mouth water. Want things, like you said, that are quick to prepare. And we want them to be small and intense, because if we give you a big appetizer, actually you maybe not entree.
Yeah.
If I have a gigantic, like a big nacho plate that's not expensive on there as an appetizer, a lot of people will order the nachos.
Yeah, as their entree, which then reduces your check average.
So we want to think strategically about this when we design our menu. Soups are commonly available at least in two sizes, cups and bowls. So a cup is kind of like that small portion, whereas a bowl may be an entree. So a cup is typically a starter, a bowl may be an entree. And then there are lots of styles of soups. These tend to be, soup is one of those things that's very weather dependent, that when it's cold, we want warm, hearty soups. When it's hot out, it's a challenge sometimes to sell a bowl of soup.
Yeah, for some reason, they don't want a hot liquid as part of
their meal.
Yeah, it's weird.
So different styles. We have cream-based soups, like cream of mushroom, and for lack of anything else I can think of. Broth-based soups like chicken noodle. A puree, where like tomato soup, where you take it and puree it up. Then there's specialty soups like egg drop soup, which don't fit neatly into any of these categories.
Or even if you're sitting there and it's weather dependent, summertime you might offer a gazpacho.
Yeah, I love cold soup. I love gazpacho.
Yeah, where me personally, I would rather just have chili. That's just me.
Salads. So salads can be both kind of an appetizer or an accompaniment to a meal, or they can be an entree. Now, if they are the entree, again, you want to figure out ways to both make people satisfied, but also push that check average. So think about when you see on a menu, you'll see, Caesar salad, add chicken or add shrimp. It adds protein to it, so it's more filling, but it also pushes the check average up.
Mm-hmm.
Salads are usually composed of both raw and cooked ingredients. So you can have a salad that is, like lettuce and tomato, or you can have a salad that's made with chicken salad. It's going to be cooked chicken. And the thing that's really important in a salad is that it's fresh.
Yeah, nothing worse than limp lettuce. It needs to have that crunch, the whole experience, especially with vegetable-based salad. So.
Yeah, freshness is going to be important.
Yeah.
Sandwiches tend to be an entree. They tend to be a main item, and they have a number of components that make them up. So you have whatever the primary component of the sandwich is. In a hamburger, it's going to be the meat patty. It has some sort of spread on it, usually to enhance flavor. So you'll have mayonnaise, mustard, ketchup,
and
barbecue sauce.
Yeah, with the spread though, with the menu, when you're describing it, if you're a fancier place, you're not going to just call it mayonnaise. You're gonna call it an
aioli.
You're going to try to trick them into feeling, that it's a little bit fancier, but it's just mayonnaise, really.
Yeah.
You may flavor it, but
we'll have a garnish, like lettuce and tomato, kind of provide that function in a sandwich, and then it's going to be wrapped in something. So if you want to get down to it, there's actually a legal debate whether or not a burrito is a sandwich.
It's wrapped. Wrapped.
Well,
now a taco I wouldn't call a sandwich.
Why not?
You know what? Why not? Sandwich right there.
And actually, it goes back to, and I can't remember who started this case, but basically they're taxed at different rates, and so the people were saying, "Hey, a burrito is not a sandwich," and so they were, because they wanted to pay a lower tax rate, and so actually it's in court.
Locke, yeah. Locke wrote, as dictated by common sense, this court finds that the term sandwich is not commonly understood to include burritos, tacos, and quesadillas. So I guess, I don't know. What is really the difference? It is wrapped in something. Literally with a burrito, it's actually wrapped in something. Where a burger, it's just, sandwiched in.
Yeah, so it gets like, what's the difference between a burrito and a sandwich wrapped in a flatbread? It's getting really.
Yeah, you're starting. You're splitting hairs at this point, but that's again, depending on where you're at in the state of New York, a burrito is a sandwich. State of Georgia, it might just be a burrito.
Commonly, sandwiches are served with sides like fries or chips or salads. Yeah. Entrees or main courses. We may have multiple headings for different entrees. So there may be, from the grill, from the sea, poultry, beef, pork. You can divide it up a number of different ways. Where you can divide it up by how it's cooked. It's like from the grill, from the steamer. There are lots of ways of dividing up your entrees.
Yeah, personally, I always like it when it's by the protein item, but that's just me.
Well, whatever your guest, you want to make it easy for the guest to understand what they're getting. Often we'll have headings for the sides, which will be things, your vegetables. You got to have some vegetable options on your menu. You need to provide something for people to eat that is, healthy.
Well, and sometimes it gives the person an illusion of being healthy. You can have bacon wrapped green beans covered in brown sugar and baked like the half shell has. That's one thing of it's healthy. The rest of it, right? But it helps the consumer feel like they're doing something a little bit more healthy.
Sides are often starches, so rice, potatoes, so rice, French fries, baked potatoes, mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, those are all starches. And often, these will, like I said, we can combine menu items. So sometimes you'll have some combination of a la carte and table d'hote and all. Sometimes when you order an entree, it comes with a side.
Well, even if it comes with a side, it's always good to offer it a la carte, even if it's not necessarily on the menu. You want it priced out, so that way if a guest wants a side of carrots added to it,
yeah, no problem.
Make the money.
Yeah. Desserts. Now, in a lot of restaurants, higher end restaurants, a separate dessert menu is a good idea. It's a way to push the check averaging and a way to kind of showcase what you can do in a very nice restaurant. So you can have fancy things. So you have this entire separate menu to present it and market it. On the other hand, sometimes if if you have a relatively limited choice, you just do it on a table tent, showing like, oh, we've got red velvet cake today, or we've got devil's food cake, or we've got fresh apple pie, and have it on a table tent at the table to, again, try and make the guest aware of it. And there are benefits, there are challenges, or there are benefits and costs to putting the dessert menu on the main menu. If you put it on there, people are going to see it. On the downside, people typically will not make the decision on whether or not they're going to order dessert till after they eat. So if the only place you have the menu or you have the dessert items is on the main menu, they're going to opt not to have it. Now, if after their meal you present them with the dessert menu, then maybe that will encourage them to make it. So there's pluses and minuses on how
and that's something where you can put it on the main menu, but you probably should have a separate dessert menu, because you don't want to bring out the main menu again just to show the dessert page.
Right. The cheese and charcuterie board, again, especially with breweries and wine bars, you can go in there and get a selection of sausages and cheeses.
And a flight of beers. It's heaven, people. You really got to go visit the Midwest.
Yeah. And sometimes this will be paired on the dessert menu. Beverage menus, depends. Often it'll be on the standard menu. If you have an extensive wine list or beer list, you may want to have a separate menu for it. One thing, especially if you're in a fancier place, is you'll want to pair beverages with dishes. So there are certain combinations that classically, historically work well. So those are things like Shiraz, the wine, which is red wine, pairs incredibly well with peppery beef. So, if you have like a steak au poivroid or a steak with peppercorns, pair it with a Shiraz. That combination is going to be fantastic. You'll also sell more when you make that recommendation on the menu.
There's a lot of people who are going to be too embarrassed to ask for recommendations.
Right.
Giving them that ability to seem like they are maybe more knowledgeable, especially if they're on like a first date or something, where they don't have to ask, and it's like, look at this. Yes, I know what pairs. It can push that check average up.
And if you don't serve alcohol, put your beverages on the main menu. But if you do sell alcohol, it's probably best to create a separate menu. Yeah. Okay, so that is it on headings. We'll get started on the next chapter shortly.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Matt.